Here.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett.
Here.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Here.
Chairman John Grease.
Here. I still have intermittent sound, Caitlin, especially with you. So I called that phone number and it asked for a meeting number and I can't find it off the top of my head. Can you help?
Yeah, call it again, John. John, can you hear me? Okay, call the number again. I'll walk you through it.
I don't have a meeting number.
Okay.
I got it, John. It's 6. Yeah.
It's 1415.
Okay, go again.
1415 655 0003. Did you get it, John?
No, I could.
Okay, I'm going to send it to you through the chat.
I think he's got a bad signal.
Again.
Okay, I sent you the number through the chat.
It could be the receiver.
John, I sent you the number through the chat. Did you get it?
John, can you hear me?
By text, let me.
John, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, with the chat button down at the bottom, it looks like a circle with a little,
It's a
one little
Speech bubble.
through the chat.
Hey, Dustin, call out that number again and I'll text it to him.
I just texted it to him.
All right, you're ahead of me.
You sent me the phone number, but there's a meeting number that Stacy just sent. Stacy.
Me and for everybody else, and
I will do that.
Thank you.
Bow with me here. Okay. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we just come to you today just thankful for the opportunity to meet and represent our great state today. And we just thankful for you've been able to keep so many of us in good health and keep us well at this time, and just ask you to be with those families that have loved ones that are sick, that have passed away, and just ask you to comfort them and watch over them. And we just ask you to be with our meeting today and just help us do what's well, and just be able to allow us to communicate with each other, and you just kind of take any obstacles out of the way that allow us to do the things that we need to do. We just ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Let's pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
The United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
One nation, under God,
Justice.
indivisible,
with liberty and justice.
for all.
Thank you, Bobby. Anna Matlock, are you present?
Yes, I'm here.
Would you please read into the record the statement of necessity, and then we'll vote on that.
Of course. The a telephonic scheduled meeting of the Tennessee Real Estate Commission. Notice of this meeting was posted to the Commission's website on Friday, May 1st, 2020. Not a physical quorum present, a statement of necessity will be read into the record and filed with the Tennessee Secretary of State as required by statute. Pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 8-44-108B2, which states that a physical quorum is not present at the location of a meeting of a governing body, then in order for a quorum of members to participate by electronic or other means of communication, the governing body must make a determination that a necessity exists. That determination must include a recitation of the facts and circumstances on which it was based. Further, Tennessee Code Annotated Section 8-44-108A3 defines necessity as matters to be considered by the governing body at that meeting require timely action by the body, that physical presence by a quorum of the members is not practical within the time period requiring action, and that participation by a quorum of the members or other means of communication is necessary. As stated, this is a previously scheduled meeting of the Tennessee Real Estate Commission that is now being held telephonically. The purpose of this meeting with members attending by teleconference is to conduct regular business of the Commission, including but not limited to informal appearances, the education report, executive director's report, and complaints. Furthermore, it is necessary for this meeting to be held by teleconference in accordance with Executive Order Number 16 issued by Governor Bill Lee on May 20th, 2020 to ensure government continues to function in an open and transparently manner during the COVID-19 emergency while taking appropriate measures to protect the health and safety of citizens and government officials. Voting will be conducted by roll call.
Okay, Commissioners, we need a motion to approve the statement of necessity. Is there such a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion. So we have a motion and a second. As you recall, we'll have to vote each time by roll call. Caitlin, if you'll call the roll, not the roll, let's call the roll and take the votes.
Yes. Commissioner Joe Begley,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz,
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn,
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Stan Torbett,
Can you hear me?
yes,
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood,
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Aye. Okay, so the statement of necessity is adopted and passed on a unanimous vote. We're next up to the approval of the agenda. Discussion about that, or is there a motion to approve the agenda?
One note, that should say April 2020 minutes.
We're just to the agenda, just yet, Caitlin. So
Well,
note that.
an error on the agenda.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Franks.
I'd like to add two things to the agenda.
Okay.
The first one, I know we're going to be discussing at some point, but it wasn't on the agenda, so I just want to make sure, is a discussion about the remote classes, the education remote classes. And then the second thing I would like to add, I didn't see commission discussions anywhere on the agenda. So I would like to add commission discussions. And under that, I would like to discuss Arello news.
Okay. So, Marcia, just out of, on your agenda, do you have a 10:15 listed on your agenda?
What?
10:15 a.m.
Oh, yes, I see it. I see it. I see it.
So,
Okay, got that.
So we're going to add Arello to that section.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other additions or deletions? If not, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
I didn't hear you the second. Was that you, Bobby?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Ms. Frank, second by Mr. Woods, that the agenda be adopted as amended. All right, if you're in favor of that motion, you'll vote aye when your name is called. Caitlin?
Commissioner Joe Begley,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz, Commissioner Jeff Diaz,
Aye.
Chair Marcia Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn, Commissioner Steve Gwynn,
Yes. Aye.
Commissioner John Moffett, Commissioner John Moffett. I think you're on mute. John Moffett,
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Tor,
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood,
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Aye. All right, so the agenda is adopted as amended. Next, we need to approve last month's minutes. Any additions or deletions to those minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes as prepared?
I'll move for approval, says Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby. Is there a second?
Second. Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you. The motion's on the floor. Any other discussion? The motion is to approve the minutes. If there is no discussion, Ms. Maxwell, will you take the vote?
I will. Commissioner Joe Begley,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz,
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks,
Marcia, you're on mute.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn,
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffett,
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett,
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood,
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Aye. All right, the minutes of April 11th are approved. We're now on to the informal appearance section of our agenda. Mike, before I cut myself off of this, I saw you were on. Would you pronounce your last name for me?
Yes, Zielkowski.
Thank you.
Yes.
Irene Porter, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, if you'll just listen for a second. And both of you have brokers with you, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So in just a second, I want to ask our executive director to give us just a quick snapshot of why you're in front of us today. And when she's done with that, we're going to turn to the applicant, Mike, in the first case, and then Irene in the second, and let you tell us in your own words whatever you want to know, whatever you want to tell us about the event that caused you to be here, what you've been doing since, why you want to be a real estate licensee, whatever you want us to know, it's in your court. And when you're done, the commissioners will have the right to ask you questions. And
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have a concern about this first one, as far as if it's even in our purview to hear. May I speak on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it seems that the applicant is a resident of Atlanta, Georgia. And in our manual of Tennessee real estate law, On page 28, it says an applicant for an affiliate broker's license shall be accompanied by the fee specified and satisfactory proof that the applicant is at least 18 years of age and has been a resident of this state for at least 45 days. So unless he's been a resident for 45 days, I don't think we can hear his application.
So thank you, Marcia. Anna, can you speak to Ms. Frank's concern?
Yes, I believe that Mr. Zolkowski is applying via Reciprocity. He's already licensed in North Carolina. And so
Yes,
I
in
think
South
we're
Carolina.
looking in South Carolina. And so we are looking at a different statute. If you'll hold on 1 second, I'll pull that up for you.
And while she's
Anna,
doing that,
I would
for the
like
record,
I would like to know what the reciprocity law is.
Right. If you'll hold on 1 second, I can pull
you.
that up. So that's going to be 6213-314. That's the statute that we're looking at for reciprocity concerning non-residents. So a non-resident, so 6213-314A1 states a non-resident of this state who is a licensed broker, affiliate broker, or timeshare salesperson or equivalent real estate licensee in another state may apply for a license as a broker or affiliate broker in this state by submitting appropriate application to the commission. So since the applicant is already licensed in South Carolina, this is going to be the controlling statute that we look at for licensure.
And why is that controlling over the other one?
Because this concerns someone that is, so you're referencing 303, that is for individuals that do not have a real estate license already. So
But it doesn't say that.
It is, but it does, but we have a specific statute that is in place for people that already have licenses. So this is the one that we use.
Well, I have a real problem with this because it would be we don't typically do this. Or we typically the reciprocity is we hardly ever even have a case like this. So I don't understand how one overcomes the other one.
We do accept applicants on a reciprocity base. That happens often. It just so happens that because this applicant has discipline in another state, that's why they're appearing before you. Otherwise, their application would be processed as normal.
Okay, well, let's hear what he says.
Okay, so just for the record, for anyone who's listening in, Ms. Matlock, Anna Matlock, is staff attorney for the Tennessee Real Estate Commission. And so as you hear her opine, she's given a legal opinion. Many times we go with her and sometimes we don't. At this point, I'm going to go back to my quick discussion of how this is going to work. Mike, when we get through asking you questions, you're likely to let your broker talk about whatever he or she wants to say, at which point we reserve the right to ask that broker questions as well. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to start right now with Caitlin Maxwell, Executive Director, giving us a snapshot of why you're in front of us today. Caitlin.
Okay, before you have applicant Mike Zolkowski and his principal broker, Joel Brown. firm is Woodland Group LLC, and a summary of the disciplinary sanction is North Carolina Real Estate License Discipline. His statement and letter can be found in your packet.
Okay. Commissioners and anybody listening in, if you wouldn't mind muting your machine while Mike talks to us, might be able to hear him a little bit better. Mike, you've got the floor. Tell us what happened, what you'd like for us to know.
Okay. Back in 2016, I think I mentioned this in the statement there. I had been on vacation out in Utah and had been cited for possession of marijuana. It had been purchased legally in Las Vegas, Nevada, and went into Utah and got caught speeding, and was an extremely small amount. And basically, I was the one that reported the issue to the North Carolina Real Estate Commission. I did not report it in time, so it was self-reported. It was supposed to be less than 90 days, and I was over that. And as a result, I was asked to take a class in Raleigh, a 4-hour class called Issues and Answers, and I had to go to Raleigh to complete it, and it had to be done before a certain date. And there was a stayed suspension on the license, so the suspension was never realized. Nothing ever came of the incident. I was told, what I needed to do to get it cleared up, and then, cleared it up immediately. And there have been, no issues since, or no issues with my license prior. So it was just a matter of me self-reporting the incident, and it was late. And again, the suspension was never realized.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions for Mike? Okay, Mike, I have a question for you. Why is it that you want to be licensed in Tennessee?
Well, I've been involved in real estate since 2005, 2006. I've been, very successful working for land developers in Georgia and North Carolina. And my current employer has properties that we develop in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. And, aside from this very minor incident, I'm a professional person that takes a lot of pride in what I do and how I interact with people. I've had a lot of great experiences with customers throughout the years, and I've helped people realize their dreams of land ownership. And that's something that I want to continue doing. I've been licensed in some different states, and would like to also include Tennessee. And I believe I've got a lot to offer the state of Tennessee and the people of Tennessee in helping them find the property that they're dreaming of. And that's my goal here today, is to obtain that license.
So,
hey, Mike.
I'll be quiet. What states are you currently licensed in?
North Carolina, and just recently South Carolina, and I'm working on Georgia.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions for this applicant?
I have a question.
Go, Marcia.
So, Mike, are you saying that your license was not suspended in the state of North Carolina?
It never was, no, ma'am.
So then why are you here before us today if your license was never suspended? I think you marked on your application that it was.
No, it was never suspended. It was very simply a stayed suspension. And it went on my record as a reprimand, but there was never any suspension. No license was ever revoked. It says a stayed suspension there, but yeah, it was never revoked, never suspended. I tried to relay that to my point of contact at the Tennessee Real Estate Commission, but he did tell me that, regardless, I have to make an appearance. So, but it was never suspended, and I think nothing like that.
So you signed a consent order to the suspension. I'm not understanding why you're saying it wasn't suspended when you signed a consent order.
It was a stayed suspension.
And
my license was never
that's not
revoked.
written on here. It doesn't say stayed suspension. It says suspension.
If it's like Tennessee, a lot of times it comes through the commission as a complaint and is presented to the board. So you sometimes see this. Somebody files a complaint against a licensee that they are aware maybe had discipline, civil discipline. They file a complaint against them. Nothing with the status of their license changes until it's presented to the commission, and then the commission decides the discipline.
Caitlin, can I
Even though a consent order has been signed?
Vice Chair Franks, if you'll look on page 7 of the document, it states under other terms and conditions, A, provided, however, the suspension in this case shall be stayed effective October 1st, 2017, and the respondent shall instead be placed on probation until October 1st, 2018, if the commission has received from respondent by October 1st, 2017, a course completion certificate evidencing the respondent's satisfactory completion of the real estate course specified in the attached addendum. So that the stay is mentioned under the other terms and conditions.
So it was a suspension until he did these things that they required him to do.
Correct, and then it was
Suspended probation.
It was stayed, yes, and instead placed on probation.
Okay, so all right, so Mike, I'm sorry, I'm terrible with pronouncing your last name, so I'm just going to call you Mike. So Mike, so you live in Atlanta, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so could you just kind of tell me how you would handle a transaction in Tennessee?
We have our company, the Woodland Group, has properties in different locations. So depending on what property is being marketed and offered, we actually drive out to different locations. For example, Dale Hollow Lake, we have a project there. So, depending on what time of year it is and what property we would like to market, we actually drive out to these locations, meet with customers to walk the properties and look at the area. And then if they'd like to purchase, we can go ahead and fill out a contract. But everything is done, on site, face to face. And our company is based in North Carolina, so it is a matter of traveling to these different locations, but just a matter of meeting with folks on the property and letting them look at it and walk the property themselves.
So is the company that you work for a development company?
Yes, ma'am.
So they develop in all these states, is what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
And can you tell me where the firm office is located in Tennessee?
Joel?
Where?
In Tennessee, our main office is located in North Carolina. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where
Talking
the
about your
office is in
Tennessee
Tennessee.
firm office. You don't know where the firm office is.
I have my broker here on the line.
We can talk to him in a little while, but you're telling me you don't even know where the firm office is in Tennessee. Is that correct?
Marcia,
Uh-huh.
Marcia, I
Yes,
don't think
our
they're
main-
required to have an office in Tennessee. I'll
Are
let
they
Anna
not?
speak to that. I don't think so, Anna.
Yes, they're not required to have an office in the state of Tennessee.
They are or they aren't?
Are not.
Thank you. That's all I have to ask.
Okay, other questions for Mike? All right, Joel Brown. Are you start off by telling commissioners, are you in Georgia? Are you the broker that Mike hopes to affiliate with?
Yes, I'm not in Georgia. I'm in North Carolina. My office is in Cornelius, North Carolina. We're an out-of-state brokerage firm. We've done properties in Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. We do development, and we also market properties for developers. I've been I can't even remember how long I've been a broker in Tennessee, but I think it was 2003 or 4, I believe. But we have an out-of-state brokerage firm. I'm actually in Monteagle right now, looking at a development here that will probably market soon. We've done properties in Del Hollow. I've worked with Mike for a couple years. He's assisted us on our North Carolina properties. He's been excellent at service with our clients, and we've never had any complaints from any customer at all for working with him. But we're an out-of-state brokerage firm, and we handle these properties. I've done properties around the Monteagle area, Del Hollow Lake, around the Knoxville area, and we've been selling property since 2016 in Tennessee.
So are these like one-day sales or weekend sales where?
Yeah, we typically arrange it for a weekend sale, but we do week-to-week sales where our agents will drive over from North Carolina to Tennessee to meet clients. I mean, the main start of our sale is an event, and then after that we do week-to-week sales going forward after that. But our agents basically will drive over, and I've also worked with agents around the areas in Monteagle and Cookeville that assist us with showing property as well. We basically refer clients there to them, and they show the lots and help us sell lots as well. So I work with a bunch of agents in Tennessee as well to help us sell property.
So on the weekend sales, and I think I know what you just said, but the people that are out meeting potential customers or purchasers, you insist they're licensed?
Correct. Yes. All our agents are licensed. We require our people that meet us to show property to be agents as well.
So do you find that a little unusual? I mean, my experience with some of these companies is they'll just take anybody they can find and let them drive people around, show them the lot, and try to write the offer.
Yeah, I'm familiar with some of the other companies. We always try to have everybody to be agents to help us show property. We realize the different. I've worked with some of those companies in the past where they did kind of allow that, and I see the problem with that because some of those people showing property don't know aren't clear on what they should be doing. So we try to make sure that everybody that shows our lots are agents.
Okay, commissioners, other questions for Joel Brown? If not, the chair is looking for a motion to either let Mike go forward or to deny his request. Is there such a motion?
This is Jeff. Motion to approve this applicant. Second.
Thank you. And who is the second?
John Muck.
Thank you, John. Okay, the motion on the floor is to allow Mike Zielkowski to continue on to get his real estate license in Tennessee. If you're in favor of that motion, you'll vote yes or aye. If you're opposed, you'll vote no. Caitlin, will you call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Joe Beckley,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz,
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn,
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffett,
Aye.
Commissioner Stacey Torbett,
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood,
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Motion passes unanimously. Mike, good luck. Joe, good luck in your sales.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate everybody. Thank you.
I think it's a real estate. It just,
All right, commissioners, I'm going to take the prerogative of the chair and try to join this meeting one more time. Let's see if it works.
All right, sound check. Anybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Hey, somebody please mute the mic.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, and I would disconnect your video, so that'll help you stay on longer.
Disconnect
So
my video. It's
Yeah, so
easy.
if you go down at the little button and you see the little
Yeah.
camera button, click on that. It'll say stop my video.
Okay,
That should help your bandwidth.
perfect. Okay, Irene Porter, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning, and what is your broker's name?
Travis Patterson.
Travis Patterson?
Good morning. I'm here.
Did I get your name right, Travis? Is it Travis Patterson?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
All right, stand by. Caitlin, would you give us some information?
You have applicant Irina Porter and her principal broker, Travis Patterson. The firm is Patterson Homes Real Estate Company. A summary of the criminal disciplinary sanction is felony securing execution of a document by deception. The statement and letter of recommendation can be found in your packet.
All right, is it Irene or is that right? Is that the first name? Irina, okay. All right, Irina, tell us what happened. What do we need to know?
Okay, so I'm actually applying to have my license reinstated. I was
Irina, stand by. Who was that? Jeff, was that you?
Chairman, this is Jeff. Doesn't council need to swear these folks in?
That's a great point. Ms. Matlock?
Sure. Do you swear and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, Ms. Porter and Mr. Patterson?
I do.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, start again, Irina. And if everyone else will mute their sound, I think we'll hear it better. All right, you're on.
So I'm actually applying to get my license reinstated. I was licensed from 2002 to 2010, but I stopped practicing in 2009. I actually started to contract work doing loan modifications around that time. I was 2008, 2009 with Chase Bank, which moved me to the state of Texas. So the contract was supposed to be for 2 years, and it ended abruptly. In between contracts, I applied for state assistance. I had it for maybe like 2 months before I started working a new job. With the contract job, sometimes it takes about a month for you to actually get paid. So I was continuing to get the state benefits in between that time while I was working. So that was a violation. The state contacted me maybe about a year later and told me about the violation. I was under the impression that I was going to have to pay the money back, but they wanted to make an example, out of people that time, receiving state benefits and working. So I ended up being in trouble with the state, and that's how I got the charge. And that was in 2012. It didn't get dispositioned to 2015. Now, since then, I've taken care of everything that I needed to do with that particular charge. Since then, I have been working consistently. I'm a general manager of a hotel now, so I've made very good on, just trying to correct that mistake. I haven't gotten into any additional trouble, other than maybe a traffic violation, and I just want to move forward. I was able to, put that particular situation behind me, move forward, and still be successful. I really want to get back into real estate because I have two sons. The one right now that's going in, who's at UTC, who I'm putting through school, and then I have a 16-year-old who's coming up, and he'll be going into college soon. And I definitely want to, get back into another arena where I'm able to save and get back into real estate, which is what I love to do.
All right. Thank you, Irina. Commissioners, questions? No questions? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. If there are no questions, we'll go on to Travis Patterson. Travis, we'd like for you to tell us what you know about this applicant, why you're interested in having Irina affiliated with your firm.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone, Commissioner, everyone. I am Travis Patterson. I'm the broker owner of Patterson Homes Real Estate Company. We're licensed in Tennessee and Mississippi. And I've been knowing Irina since high school. She's a really good friend of mine from high school. I am aware of the incident that occurred with her at the time, and I do understand the logic, but it definitely was a violation. And she's not the type of individual that would be deceptive or dishonest. She's really a go-getter and a hard-working young lady. As again, she mentioned, she's a general manager at a hotel now with a major corporation out in Nashville. And I like her energy. I like she's willing to learn. She's willing to go to the training process. At my firm, we are big on our education and training, and it's highly recommended. But it's highly recommended. We have a training program, and we just pretty much since the 7th grade. I know how she works. She's very intelligent. She's and I think that you might have to get her and keep on the right path. She'll be great. She'll be good.
Okay, questions for Mr. Patterson?
I have a question.
Please go right ahead.
Hello, Mr. Patterson. This is Marsha Franks. I'm wondering where you're located. Are you in Memphis?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Mr. Chairman, I can't hear.
I'm in Memphis. Yes, ma'am.
Memphis, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, I can now. And so will Miss Porter be living in Nashville?
I believe so.
Working in Nashville?
Yes, he's going to be residing in Nashville. I will have a secondary board there in Nashville as well. To manage and broker the operation as well.
And so, will you be tell us how you work that out as far as supervising her if she's working in Nashville, and also will she be a full-time agent or will she still be working at the hotel?
Right now, starting off, she'll be a part-time agent. What I will be doing is supplying her with leads and doing role playing and scripts with her with buyers only. If any event that she does have any leads on sellers, we can co-op, and I will make a trip down there. It's really not a long drive to get to Nashville from where I am. I can get there in a day and back. If she has any trouble, like any run-ins with any other agents or anything legal, I'll be there to supervise every single deal. I'll be able to manage it online. We have systems in place where she writes contracts, where she's able to get on the MLS, where she's keep up with her clients. I'll be able to manage all that from my computer and over the phone. And we'll be able to do Zoom trainings too as well. So she'll be able to attend Zoom trainings. We have those every second Wednesday of the month at my firm. She'll be able to attend on conference calls, and we'll have a quick access to her. She'll be a part of a team. And again, I have about 25 agents here in Memphis and Mississippi, and I'm looking to build the Nashville market as well and get me a broker out there as well. So eventually, I know Irina does have family here in the Memphis market. So I'm assuming we talk, she may be in the Memphis area joining here. I'm not sure if she's going to come back or not, but we're really running our real estate firm from Memphis to Nashville and Mississippi.
Okay. Do you have any other agents in the Nashville area now?
I have Carrie Thomas. She's a broker of her own firm. She's looking to join forces with me once we develop in Nashville.
Okay. Thank you.
All right,
all,
other
Mr. Chairman.
questions? Other questions for Mr. Patterson? If not, I sense we're ready to vote. If only we had a motion to vote on.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ms. Franks to approve. Is there a second?
Second from Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby. All right, discussion on the motion. All right, hearing none, I will ask Ms. Maxwell to call the roll. If you're in favor, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no.
Commissioner Joe Beckley. Commissioner Joe Beckley.
Can you hear me?
Mhm. Commissioner Jeff Diaz. Jeff Diaz.
Aye.
Vice Marsha Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn.
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy. Aye. Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chair John Grease.
Aye. All right, the motion passes. Irina, you're clear to get started. Good luck to you.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. We're doing the right thing by you.
Take care. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you guys so much.
Linda Spencer.
So Ms. Spencer submitted a letter. This is not a typical informal appearance. She's requesting to waive the testing for her license. Her license expired April 4th, 2019, and she reached out to the commission staff on 4/16/2020. So she was past the 1-year mark, and she requested to bring this to the commission to waive the retesting of her license. And so in your packet, this one I did not send until this week, but you have her letter requesting this, and then I did a summary of her license history for you.
Caitlin, this is Jeff Diaz.
Yes.
Maybe there's a question for Anna as well. Do we have jurisdiction to waive this requirement, or is that a statute or a rule?
So according to the Rule 1260-01-.213, licenses expired for more than a year. Individuals are required to reapply for licensure, meet education requirements, and pass all examinations. So she has passed the 1 year mark. There really isn't any discretion for the commissioners within this rule to waive anything.
Since the rule is silent on the issue, we assume we don't have the authority then?
Yes, that's correct.
This is Bobby Wood. I got a question. So she's contacted us in April of this year, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when we're talking about 11 days, would during the time that I guess if she was 11 days earlier, I guess my question is, we're not talking about this. She could do this. She could pay fines and get back, right?
Correct.
Okay. Had the governor given an executive order at that point that allowed everybody's license to not expire right now and give them extra time at that point?
Executive order really applied to waiving or allowing an extension on education. We have applied it to licensees that expired between 3/12 and 5/18. Ms. Spencer did not expire during that time, as she expired the year before.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and I know I'm grasping. I mean, I'm talking about somebody who's been doing this a long time, and I'm talking about 11 days. Is there any way we can ask for an interpretation from somebody to see if the executive order would allow her year to continue at least 11 more days to get to us on that? I mean,
I don't think I
because
can look at it, but ultimately I don't think the executive order is designed to apply to people whose licenses expired a year ago. So it's designed for individuals that licenses are expiring during this time period. We're allowed to permit some leeway with licensure and continuing education requirements. But this happened 11 months prior.
Sure.
So I don't really think that this falls into the purview of what was designed to be stated by the executive order.
And I agree with you, Anna. I don't think the governor's office had this in mind when they gave the executive order. But outside of that, I don't think we can help her. And outside of maybe us getting a good ruling from somebody that would show some grace on this, I don't know any other way we can help her. And that's what I was trying to do, is just try to figure out a way to help her. So,
Bobby.
Yes, sir.
So I like how you think. I'm trying to put myself in the governor's position, and I'm not suggesting this licensee or anybody would do this. But if this licensee, for instance, went to the governor and said, I had a chance to reactivate my license because I was late 11 days and the government was basically shut down during those 11 days. I couldn't reactivate it. I couldn't pay the $1,000 or $1,100, whatever it is, and reactivate it.
Yeah.
And so to your point, I think the governor didn't anticipate a situation like this, or he might have included something in the language.
I think the problem is that licensees have They have 90 days prior to their expiration, and then they also have a year. So it ends up being about 15 months.
And I understand that too.
And this is a principal broker who should have known way before 15 months. So I think principal brokers are held to a little higher standard.
And also, our offices have been fully functional and operational during this time period, so she could have contacted us within those 11 days.
Okay, other discussion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
I'd like to make a motion that because of the circumstances, we are not allowed to help this lady, and that we deny her reinstatement request.
Is there a second?
I'll make a second, and I have a question for council. This is Jeff.
Okay, the motion is properly on the floor. Mr. Diaz.
And if we were to show some grace and allow this woman to proceed, what would the reaction be from the Department of Commerce or the levels above us?
So you're saying if you were to allow her to go to reinstate, not have to retest and reapply?
Yes.
I'd have to check with my supervisors, but I really don't think you have the statutory or rule. It's outside of your purview. So I think that is something that would potentially come back as something that was not authorized, that you're not authorized to do.
So they would overrule us or tell us to try again?
Most likely it would come back before you. I'd have to double check, but I think that would be the scenario.
Hey, Jeff, this is Bobby. I agree with you. I don't think we can just say you get it, and we can. And even though it was just 11 days, we're going to make this exception. But I would like, because of what's going on and everything kind of being shut down a lot, I would like to at least ask the higher ups if it's possible that executive order could work in this case to give this person a little more grace. I wouldn't want to make this a standard that we're doing all the time, but I think we're kind of in an odd situation, and I'd just like to get a ruling from that before we just say no. That would be my thought.
I can bring the issue before my supervisors and talk with Caitlin and let them know about the specific situation and come back to you in June.
But I would like to say, what about all the other people that we didn't give this grace to?
Well, I mean, we're talking about one person that's asked for it, and then the other time.
I'm talking about people that we've denied their request after a year has passed, because we have had those.
Well, I don't think it's just the fact that it's a year. I think to me, it's the year and it expired during this pandemic. That, to me, that's what matters.
But it expired 15 months ago.
And I agree with you, Marcia. I'm just saying that her 1 year afterwards expired during the pandemic. That's just what I'm looking at somebody that's, that's been at real estate 42 years, and I'm really not convinced we're going to be here 42 more years. I mean, so if we're doing real estate, and I'm just trying to show some grace. So,
Bobby. So, Bobby, there's a motion on the floor to deny the request. If you'd like to offer a substitute motion, we can see what the commission thinks. Otherwise, we need to move forward.
Okay, let me offer a substitute motion that we actually get a ruling from whoever Anna deems that would be the proper person to see if there's any reason that we could maybe show some grace because of the executive order that's been put in for the extension of some things. That would be my motion. That we get that ruling first.
Okay, so the motion is to defer for 30 days?
Yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second that. This is Jeff.
All right, Jeff seconds that motion. So that motion, the substitute motion is properly on the floor. We'll vote on that first. If it passes, we're done with the topic for today. If it fails, we'll go back to Marcia's motion to deny the request. Everybody clear? All right, Caitlin, if you will call the roll and let's vote on the substitute motion to defer for 30 days. If you're in favor of that, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no.
Okay. Commissioner Joe Begley,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz,
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks,
No.
Commissioner Steve Quinn,
No.
Commissioner John Moffett,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett,
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Chairman John Grease.
Yes. So the substitute motion passes. We'll add this back to our June agenda with the expectation that legal will give us some basis to make a final decision. Everybody okay?
Yep.
If so, let's go to the Education Director's report. Ross White.
Mr. John Grease and Mr. Chairman and all the commissioners. Greetings, and hope everybody's staying safe. I don't know if I can get on video. Let's see. May not work. Anyway, I want to present to you today the May 2020 agenda with courses, providers, and instructors, M1 through M9.
Okay, let's take the courses first. Your recommendation is to approve courses M1 through M9. Is that correct, Ross?
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a motion to accept the director's recommendation?
This is Jeff, so moved.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there seconded by Ms. Franks? Discussion on any particular course, or if not, let's vote. I hear no discussion. Caitlin, let's take a vote. If you're in favor of approving courses M1 through M9, please vote aye.
Aye.
No, we're going to have to, I'm sorry, we have to call roll. My fault.
That was actually my fault, John. I was just working on
Okay. Caitlin.
Joe Begley,
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Marcia Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Quinn,
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffett,
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett,
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood,
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Uh-oh.
John muted.
You're on mute.
Damn it. Sorry.
Great.
That's why I'm on mute. You ought to heard some other stuff I've had to say. All right, we've got an instructor. What's your recommendation, Mr. White?
Yes, have one instructor today, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Siobhan DePoke, and I have reviewed her application and find her comporting with all the rules and regs.
So you recommend we approve her?
I recommend her approval.
Is there such a motion? Motion by Ms. Franks, seconded by
Bobby Wood.
Thank you, Bobby.
I'll do it.
The motion on the floor to approve Shavonda. If you're in favor of that motion, when your name is called, please vote aye. Ms. Maxwell.
Joe Beckley.
Aye.
Commissioner Diaz.
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Wynn.
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John.
Aye. All right, so she is approved. Marcia,
Yes.
would it be okay with you if we amended the agenda and talked about this license renewal and classroom course issue at this point with Ross?
That'd be fine.
Okay, so I was copied on an email Ross sent to a provider. The provider was basically, like a lot of these associations, asking that this online education that we approved on an emergency basis continue through the end of this year. And Ross wrote a great letter, I thought. That's not to say you don't normally, Ross, but it was pretty clear. But why don't you tell commissioners and those listening what you said in that letter?
Well, essentially, I think that it's the commissioner's ultimate decision and purview to allow this continuance of the streaming courses format to go forward, at least for as long as the commission deems it necessary. And at the end of that time, the commission may want to consider a bit of a change to the law or the rules as it relates to this type of format, or we will have to, again, at the end of this special time, the requirement would still be there for the Arello certificate and for the courses, since it's a distance course. And I think my next point, I guess, in the letter was that webinars are already a format that we have on our application forms, but the webinar, as it is a distance course, would require that you have that Arello course certificate when they submit the application for a webinar. So the idea that that's a synchronous course that allows an immediate transfer of information between the provider, instructor, and the student, and versus an asynchronous course like an internet distance course, whereas the instructor or the information are not necessarily connected, and that with an internet course, folks can take that course at any time of day or morning or whatever. But with this particular format that we have, I would just suggest that we go forward again to give credence to the grace that we're allowing, again, subject to the commission's decision and the governor's education order. So that being said, I think it's a good idea. I also want to say it's been going great. I have had very few issues with it. I think everybody is enjoying the format, or at least it suffices for them to get their education and to keep the real estate education industry on its feet during this time.
So, Ross, you quoted a statute and a rule that we have, both which limit how much of this we can approve, or how long we can approve it for, or what set of circumstances we can use to approve it, correct?
Yeah, that was the discussion about the distance course statute and rule, and at least as a distance course, when it's submitted, then they have to also submit an Arello certificate for those distance courses. But because of this special time that we're under, then at least for this time, then that's, we're not following that Arello for existing courses. Now, if somebody submits a new course as a webinar or whatnot, then we'll have to ask for that certificate. But at this time, we're dealing with existing classroom courses that have been allowed to be streamed by this Zoom type format.
Okay, maybe this is Anna, maybe this is Caitlin, but if the commission desired to extend this ability to Zoom these courses, how far out in the future can we do it at this point based on what the governor has said or done?
So this is Anna. Currently, the executive order concerning continuing education is set to expire on May 18th. However, we have been working behind the scenes to see if this order can be extended, which I believe it may be extended. I'm not entirely sure. So if the order is extended, I think it will be extended through the middle of July. And I think that the commission, it's my opinion that the commission should base their decision on the executive orders that we have and to go by those, because at this time, I believe it's a bit premature to blanketly extend courses until the end of the year, when we're most likely going to receive an extension of time via executive order.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Marcia.
So I totally disagree with that. I'm sorry. These providers of the education have got to have a way to make plans. Usually they do their education a year in advance. They have to line up instructors, the place to have it. So they need guidance. And we received letters from all of the major realtor associations across the state asking that we extend it until the December 31st, 2020. I don't think that in any way puts a hardship on the state or anyone else for that matter. Only God knows when this pandemic is going to be over. I can tell you from meeting all this last week with Arello, this is what every state is having to do. We don't even know when we'll be able to gather together. And for the sake of these providers, they need to be able to set a calendar and not base it on July 18th. That's not enough time. We need it to be to December 31st, 2020. And I'll say this. We have, whether we like it or not, we have been thrust into a virtual world, whether we like it or not. I'm watching church every Sunday virtually. I'm having every meeting virtually. This is not going to probably be over by July 18th. We all know that. It's not going to be. So if we're expecting another round of this virus too in the fall, I just don't want to keep the providers hanging on month to month to month, whether they're going to get to have a class or not. And for the safety of the licensees, also, we don't need to say, okay, July 18th, you got to go have your class in a room with people. I just think it's not, no one's doing this. So I think we just need to move forward. I honestly see in the future that this is our future by doing virtual classes. I have no problem communicating with y'all virtually. You don't with me. I think it's great. I think it's even better than just an online class with no instructor or no relationships with the other students in the room. So for that reason, I would like to make a motion that we extend until December 31st, 2020.
I second. Steve Quinn.
Wait, hold on 1 second. So we have a motion properly made and seconded by Marcia Frank, seconded by Steve Wynn, that we extend through 2020. Anna's going to tell us the problem with that motion, then we'll try to figure out how to craft it to make it work. Anna.
So this is we had with the other individual wanting to find language in the executive order to see if it applies. I would ask for this matter to at least be deferred another 30 days to see if you even have the statutory authority to do so, because currently I do not believe that you do. The executive orders are allowing us to supersede our statutes, and our statutes say specific language for education, and we're allowed to go around that by executive order at this time. So I don't think at this time you have the authority to extend the matter until the end of the year. So if we're going to look at this, I would ask for the same, I guess, as you would say before, grace, to have at least 30 more days to look at this matter and figure out if you even have the authority to do so.
So,
and Mr. Chairman, I'm not willing to do that. I would prefer that we go on and vote, and then if the state has a problem with that, then we can revisit it next month. I do not want us just making the short term. It's under our purview what we approve and what we don't approve. And so I don't see the big deal in the first place. So I would totally, if it's a problem, then they can let us know after we've voted.
So if your motion said as long as the governor's order is in place or December 31st, 2020, whichever occurs last, which is kind of really flirting with violating the law, would something like that work?
No, because these schools have got to be able to plan out further than every 30 days. You know, it's
on the record that you don't have the authority to extend it beyond the 30 days. And that if this decision is made today in that matter, I think we're going to have serious issues that we're going to have to address even before the June meeting.
Okay, bring it on. You know, I'm fighting for this because there are nearly 40,000 licensees, and that's who I'm trying to help them to be able to get the education that the state is requiring them to have. And people like me can't even leave our homes. So this is a necessity. This is not just a feel-good, fun thing. To me, it's critical to the health and the welfare and well-being of Tennesseans.
I understand that, but this is not
Marcia,
the only program
I completely
in
understand,
the
Marcia.
state of Tennessee. So we have to look at beyond the department. We have to look at the other executive branch departments as well. And currently nothing like that is in place from any of those other entities. So I'm just letting you know I do not believe that we have the statutory authority to do so. And it is my job to advise you on things that may lead to more litigation issues.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jeff Diaz.
Go, Jeff.
God.
I just want to make a point that we are talking about video streaming classes that to replace in-person classes. Of course, the internet classes are still out there. And I don't think our licensees will have any trouble getting their education via internet classes if streaming services aren't available. That's my only comment.
Thank you, Jeff. Anna, would you mind reading the statute that's applicable?
Which statute?
The one that does not give us the authority to extend these streaming classes past the governor's.
I don't have a statute that gives you the authority to extend it. The reason that we extended it in the first place is because of the executive order and the language that was placed in that order. The order states that that supersedes certain statutes that we have in place. So there's not a statute that I can cite to you that would apply here.
Well, that's my point. How about checking out 6213.325A? That's
What page is that, John?
I don't know. I'm just reading from Ross's letter.
I think it would be wise for the commission to look at the rules that currently prevent this, because it does seem like this option is something that's going to be part of the future, to allow classroom courses to be offered in a virtual manner. So I think it would be wise for the commission to consider looking at that language, and not this meeting, but in the future, maybe looking to update the language to allow classroom courses on a more permanent basis being allowed to be offered via Zoom and those formats.
Well, and that fully is my intention to do, but I don't think anyone's prepared to do that today. So we're in a stopgap measure here today. What was that, John? 6213 what?
Let me check again. Ross, are you there?
6213 325A. And then you want to look down at C1. But again, this refers to all distance courses. And, you know, for a new application for a distance course.
Okay. Hey, Ross.
Specifically talking about classroom courses here that are existing during this period of time right now, and that will all terminate 12/31/20. So all these classroom courses, whether or not they're special, given the special allowance, or that we get new ones in, everything terminates 12/31. Yes, I'm sorry.
Hey, Ross, how long does it, do you know how long it takes somebody to get that Arello certificate? Is that a long process or a short process?
I know all about that. I can tell you all about that. There is such a backlog right now at Arello. We've had to hire more people to even work it. It's up 55% each month. Yeah, so in order for someone to get their Arello certification, we encourage that, and we would want them to. But that is not a quick process, not a week process, probably not a month process.
So this is Jeff Diaz, Ross, Anna.
Yes.
So the commission approved these courses 2-year window already. So
Yes, Commissioner.
So these are in-person classes?
These are in-person classroom classes that all of them are existing classroom classes. And these folks, these providers have sent requests to be allowed to stream during this special time. But all of these classes will end 12/31/20. It's just that right now, May 18th is the date that the governor's order extends to.
So really the only thing the associations are asking us for is to take these previously approved courses, rather than them being in person, make them streaming.
These classes are all in-person classroom courses that have been given the special privilege to continue on by the Zoom method, for instance, or any other comparable method until May the 18th, which tracks the governor's order.
Okay, and they're asking us to exceed that to the end of the year.
Yes, I've had several folks in discussion. They would like to see the associations and the smaller providers as well. Like to see it as, and Marcia can talk about this too, but there's just Arello has several states that we're all in the same boat. So there's been some offers to extend this privilege until the end of the pandemic, or at least until the end of the year, and all states are having to contend with this.
Hey Ross,
Yes.
this would. When I'm looking at the state statute and it talks about distant learning, and under that C1 where it says you have to get the Arello certificate, but then it also says or other certifying body at the discretion of the commission. Can we make ourselves a certifying body like right now and let you do that and let you give approval for all these people right now that want to do this? Because it in effect, when they send you, because right now they're supposed to send you an email saying we're going to teach this class by Zoom or whatever. You're basically giving approval, so you're certifying that class. Can we not consider that as certifying it so we can get through this to the end of the year?
Well, Commissioner Wood, I think that's an excellent question, but I would have to defer to counsel. I never thought of myself as a technology certifying or the commission either. As you read the statute, Arello is about the only technology certifying body that I know, but I'm sure there may be others. But if I could do this, or we could grant it through that means, then I think the point's taken and well taken, because I would like to help these providers who are going to suffer without an extension.
Commissioner Grease, what do you think about that? Do you think we could certify? Because it says we're certifying about technology, but it also says interactivity and course design. And we're still doing the course design anyway, or Ross is. And then he's also looking at the interactivity because they have to give him a connection, because Ross at any moment can go into one of the classes and watch them.
I've been doing that. It's very interesting.
So I'm very sympathetic to the providers. I agree with Marcia. One thing I don't want to do is exceed our statutory authority, and I don't want to pass a motion that says they're good through December 31st, only to have somebody come back next month and say you didn't have the authority to do it. So they're good until the governor says they're not good. So that's my issue. But I like how you're thinking, Bobby, and I think we've got the ability to certify, and I'm very confident that Ross can look at it. And these are courses he's already approved. It's just a method of delivery that's different.
Yeah. Well, can
Anna,
I make?
let me just say, Anna, you want to give us some input?
I don't have any additional input other than what's been said before. I don't know if the commission has been viewed as a certifying body in the past. So that's something that I would need to look into. I don't know if that, when I think of certifying bodies such as Arello, I do not foresee the Real Estate Commission as falling into that category.
Okay, but I would argue that if we're looking for a way to try to help providers out, Bobby's discovered a way that might work. Bobby, you've got the floor.
And I would like to make, I guess, my proposal as a motion that we allow the real estate commissioner, specifically our director of education, Ross White, to be able to certify classes from now till the end of the year. And instead of having to get the Arello certificate, that he can certify the classes. And so that will allow us to do this up to the end of this year.
Are you talking about just streaming classes?
Yes. Well, I don't know how we should. I'm not trying to muddy this thing. I'm really just trying. My whole point is I'm trying to get regular classes where we can do them through these type of technology till the end of the year. So if you need to help me kind of wordsmith my thing. And see, here's another thing too. And I'm not trying to well, I am muddying the water. I think there's a good argument is when you're doing a class via what we're doing right now or Zoom or something, there's people arguing right now. This is really not distance learning. I mean, because you're sitting there, you're just not sitting in the same room. I kind of look at distance learning is that's where I can go in at midnight tonight and do the class and stuff. But I think there's an argument going out through our country right now. Is this really distance learning? You're just sitting in different seats. but you have to be there. You have to be there.
Right. And I would just say, like, the definition of distance education mentions traditional classroom setting. And I don't believe that WebEx or Zoom would be included in that definition. So if that is something we want to look at in the future, that would probably require a statute or rule change. I don't think there's an argument to say that this is a traditional classroom setting.
Well, and I can't quote you who said this, but I'm hearing, because I've just heard it kind of like third-hand information, but Arello may very well be the point, and they're the ones that maybe are saying this is really not distance learning. So, but that would be, we need time to get that answer. I'm just trying to work through a solution. I don't think anybody's trying to be a sneaky snake. We just got to, and we're just trying to solve the problem. And I think everybody, whether it be the schools or the commissioners, we're all trying to do this thing and work within the guidelines we got. We're just trying to dig ourselves out of a problem here that we're hoping is not going to be here next year.
Okay, Bobby, let's get your motion.
John?
Yes. Is that Steve?
I think it was Joe.
Hey, John, it's Joe.
Okay.
So,
I'm here.
You've approved it through the end of July, is that correct?
Nope, May 18th.
No.
Maybe 18th. So, the schools can't be on the presumption that as long as the executive orders are in place, that they'll continue to do this, and then when the executive orders get changed, they'll go back to traditional. We'll not say something with that verbiage. Anna?
Yes, that's correct.
So, Joe, is that you talking?
Yes.
So I think Bobby's intention and Marcia's intention, and maybe others, is to make a date certain, like say the end of the current course approval period, which would be 12/31 this year. And one way to perhaps skin that cat is to, at least on a temporary basis, like through the end of 2020, give our education director the right to certify courses that stream, for lack of a better term. I think that's what is that stated correctly, Bobby or Marcia?
Yeah, yes,
exactly
and
right.
Let me say this too. At the Exam Accreditation Committee meeting at Arello, one of the things that we're going to be doing at the annual meeting, and by the way, our mid-year meeting was totally virtual. It could be our annual meeting, maybe totally virtual, and that's in September. We're preparing for everything. But one of the topics that the Exam Accreditation Committee is going to have for one of the general sessions is called remote proctoring. We're thrust into the virtual age. So I can tell you that nationwide, all across Canada, everybody is doing this. There's not been a problem. They're not seeing cheating. They're not seeing any negatives to it. So this is what's coming, and we can either get ahead of it or we can lag behind like some, poor state that just wouldn't make a decision about it.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, Marcia, this is just a philosophical thing, but I don't want this to be the new normal. I don't want this. If this is the new normal, our economy never comes back to what it was or what it could be, because I mean, I haven't seen any numbers that this is going to be the new norm. I mean, scientific data hasn't shown me that this is any different than, I mean, in the state of Tennessee, it's no different than the flu's been in the past.
Well, I can tell you this. It is what's coming. And yes, we want to be able to shop and get out and do all of those things for the economy. But real estate education, this is what's happening. And this is what's going to happen in the future are these virtual classes.
I mean,
there will still be classes you can go sit in, I'm sure. But majority of licensees, I think, would rather sit in their bedroom and take these classes. You've got a teacher, you've got other people that are with you versus going sit in a classroom. I'm just telling you, I know that this is how real estate education is going. It's not a guess.
I mean, and you may be right, but I've been in, a lot of classrooms. You can't learn in 6 years of undergrad what you can learn in 4. So, but the moral of the story is, it's not the same. Like, I don't see anybody on this screen right now, and John doesn't see any of us right now. He doesn't know if I'm surfing the net or if I'm paying attention or if I'm doing whatever. It's not the same as being in class. It is, I agree with Bobby. You do have to be logged on. But I don't mentally have to be here. I mean, it's a little different. And like I said, I do not disagree that it's the future, but our future in real estate has changed a lot with Zillow and Trulia. And I'm glad I didn't lead that charge because I don't think it was good for the industry. I don't think it's going to be good for the industry in the long term. And I'm glad I wasn't the leading charge on that. So, I mean, I think we have time to adjust, but I'm not here to fight it. If that's the way the commission wants to go, I'm good with it. But I do think that I just don't want the new normal to be what they want the new normal to be, if that makes any sense.
And Joe, let me say this. I had meetings last week, actually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then again Monday, all on Zoom, and we didn't have a single problem. And there were pages of people's pictures. We're having to use WebEx because the state has a contract with WebEx. That's something we'll have to get into. Obviously, WebEx is not near the quality as Zoom, obviously, or we would be able to sit here, look at each other talking. And I agree with you. I don't like this either. The only person I can see is John, but I'm glad it's John because I've missed him. But so this is all going to have to improve. And let me tell you, I'd like to own some Zoom stock. There'll be other companies that will have to do as well as Zoom also starting.
There will be, I'm sure.
Okay, hold on. Who asked for the chairman?
I did. This is Jeff. I call the question.
Hey, Jeff. So, Bobby, you want to restate your motion, which I think basically gives temporary authority to the education director, at least on a temporary basis through 2020, to approve these streaming courses.
And certify
yes,
them.
and that's the certification that's needed, and they can be the other certifying body other than Arello through the end of this year.
Is there a second to his motion?
I second it.
John, I've got a question.
Absolutely. Go, Steve.
What happened to Marcia's first motion? Is this a motion to amend her motion or a new motion?
Substitute motion. This is a substitute motion.
No, it's not a substitute. It's a separate motion.
Well, no, it's substitute to yours unless you want to withdraw your first motion. Because you're still on the floor.
After we have this vote, then I plan to make a motion that we all this education be done till the end of the year, Steve.
I was thinking yours was okay. Yours was made first.
I got it.
I did.
So
I did.
Seems to me like we ought to handle yours first and then do the other one second. But that's just, I don't know the rule. Robert's Rules of Order. I don't know how, or I think the easier thing to do would be for him to amend yours, but that's just me.
Well, we're trying to satisfy our lawyer at the same time. So if we give the authority to the education director for the first of the year, then it makes the vote on Marcia's easier to vote for.
Correct. Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm cool with that.
So we have two motions. One is to give Ross the authority to certify streaming courses through 2020. We'll vote on that. Then we'll go back to Marcia's motion, which extends streaming courses through 2020. Okay, Bobby, you okay with that?
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Okay, so we're dealing with Bobby's motion first, which is to give Ross White authority to certify streaming courses through 2020. If you're in favor of that motion, when Caitlin calls your name, you'll vote aye. If you're opposed, you'll vote no. All right, Caitlin.
Okay, Commissioner Begley.
No.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz.
No.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Yes.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn.
Yes.
Commissioner John Moffitt.
Yes.
Commissioner Casey Torbett.
No.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Yes.
Chairman John Grease.
Yes.
5 ayes, 3 noes.
Passes. Now we're back to another motion that was offered by Ms. Franks that would give internet or streaming providers through 12/31/20 to continue the service they're offering, or to add additional courses if Ross White certifies those courses. Marcia, is that your motion basically?
It is.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it, Bobby here.
Okay, Bobby. So we're properly on the floor.
I thought I'd already seconded it.
I'll give it to you, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So the motion is properly on the floor. Is there discussion on the motion? If not, if you're in favor of that motion, you'll vote aye when Caitlin calls your name. If you're opposed, you'll vote no. Ms. Maxwell.
Commissioner Joe Begley.
No.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz.
No.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Yes.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn.
Yes.
John Moffitt.
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett.
No.
Commissioner B. Wood.
Yes. Yes for Bobby.
Commissioner John Grease.
Yes. What's the vote, Caitlin?
Ayes, 3 noes.
Okay, that motion passes. All right, Marcia, this is an item you put on the agenda. Have we taken care of your desire regarding?
Thank you.
Come back to Relevant later. All right, let's move on to the director's report. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, John. I just want to tell this, and I think some of the commissioners have got a concern about this, these webinar kind of classes that we're talking about. I've been able to teach some of these, and actually, I find that they're harder as an instructor to teach because you don't get that immediate feedback. You know, if you say something, you don't hear laughs or questions or something, and it's harder. But also, from a student situation, it's more difficult too, and it's more restrictive because our rules are they got to sit there in front of the camera. They can't get off camera. And if they do, they can be put out of the classroom. I find that it's more restrictive than actually sitting in a classroom because I've taught before in a classroom where the students are on their computer, they're on their cell phone, And the moderators that I've had are good. I mean, and I've seen them send messages to the people to get off their cell phones or get out of the class. And it's really, I mean, it's more restrictive than I'd say than people realize. And there's lots of other products out there. I've always used Zoom. They're far superior to what we're doing. You have to see everybody's face. I mean, and there's a lot more interaction you can do back and forth than what we got right now. So don't base your thought on this type of education on what we're doing right now. So.
Thank you, thank you, Bobby. Caitlin, let's go to your report.
Okay. So on my report, I added a couple new sections. I plan to organize this in the future so the commission can keep track. But one thing that we're monitoring closely is licensing numbers and what's happening with them. We really don't have a good indication yet, I think, until we are able to see the numbers from April. But I included both the count for April and May so that you could see the slight difference. And I also included a table with the initial applications for the last 3 years for February and March. For March, on initial applications, we've seen a decrease by about 12% in the year-over-year number. And then I also looked at renewals. Renewals for March are down by about 7%. You can see with the exams taken, obviously with PSI being closed, there was really no exams taken for the month of April. PSI is now open, so I think I'll continue to monitor that. But I just wanted everyone to get an idea of the numbers that we're dealing with on a month-over-month basis. I also put, as Marcia mentioned, at the Arillo meeting, I participated in the exam accreditation meeting, and PSI was on that call and discussed online proctoring. So I reached out about our contract, and there is nothing in our contract with PSI that would prevent us from allowing online proctoring. And so I set up a time to meet with PSI to get more information on the online proctoring process. So I can bring that back to the commission at the June meeting, find out more about the security measures that are in place for online proctoring, and how they're doing this in other states. From talking with PSI, they are doing this with their insurance exams in a couple other states, and then there are a couple other states that are already moving to this for the real estate exam. So I will plan to come back with more information in June to find out if this is something the commission would be interested in moving forward with. And I'm open to any questions anyone may have. I think you're on mute, John.
I wasn't going to say damn it again. Okay, let's move to the consent agenda. Anna, Kristen.
I am here. So we have cases to present to you today, cases 1 through 70. We received 13 cases to pull, 10 of which we received last night, so bear with us. We've been trying to get prepared to get ready for those this morning. I've sent all cases that have been pulled to Chairman Grace, so if you would like, we can go ahead and have Kristen read the numbers and for the first set.
So let's, what do you think, Kristen? Anna, should we just read cases that haven't been requested to be pulled? Or do you want to read them all in, and then we'll take them?
Just read read all of Kristen's numbers in, then we can talk about the ones that have been specifically pulled, and then we'll go through all of my cases and then what's been pulled.
Let's do it.
Yes, that's how we did it last time, I believe.
Okay. Kristen, read your cases in, please.
Okay, I will start with the legal report. I have numbers 1 through 40. Number 1 is 2020-001731. Number 2, 2020-016981. Number 3, 2020-007301. Number 4, 2020-011641. Number 5, 2020-011691. Number 6, 2020-019551. Number 7, 2020-017481. Number 8, 2020-015461. Number 9, 2020-016981. Number 10, 2020-016771. Number 11, 2020-017741. Number 12, 2020-019551. Number 13, 2020-013061. Number 14, 2020-013171. Number 15, 2020-014241. Number 16, 2020-0011-361. Number 17, 2020-012361. Number 18, 2020-013851. Number 19, 2020-015781. Number 20, 2020-004031. Number 21, 2020-009481. Number 22, 2020-013921. Number 23, 2020-014281. Number 24, 2020-015831. Number 25, 2020-018891. Number 26, 2020-009551. Number 27, 2020-017701. Number 28, 2020-019101. Number 29, 2020-019841. Number 30, 2020-021221. Number 31, 2020-011901. Number 32, 2020-003711. Number 33, 2020-004091. Number 34, 2020-010681. Number 35, 2020-014481. Number 36, 2020-016441. Number 37, 2020-017511. Number 38, 2020-019581. Number 39, 2020-022601. And number 40, 2020-00221. Numbers 1 through 31, I recommended dismissal. And numbers 32 through 40, I recommend discipline.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. So out of the list of cases Kristen just read, commissioners have asked that cases 13, 23, 31, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37 be pulled for discussion. So without objection, we will do that. Now, is there a motion to accept council's recommendation on the balance of the cases Kristen just read into the record?
Could I ask for that, Commissioner Griggs?
One second. The motion was by Jeff Diaz. Who seconded it?
Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Joe seconds. Now, Bobby, did you have something to say?
Yes, I had About three more.
Okay.
I'd like in that we can still pull out. 30,
Okay.
32, and 39. 30, 32, 39.
Okay. So the motion offered by Jeff Diaz, seconded by Joe Bagley, is to accept council's recommendation on cases 1 through 40, with the exception of cases we've just singled out. Let's vote on the motion. Caitlin, if you're in favor, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no.
Okay. Commissioner Joe Begley.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz.
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Glenn.
Aye.
Commissioner John.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett.
Aye.
Commissioner Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John.
Aye. So the motion passes unanimously. Bobby, we'll start with you. Number 13.
No, that wasn't me.
That was me.
Wasn't? Oh, I'm sorry. Marcia.
Commissioner Grease.
That was me. Come on, Mary. Okay, number 13. I wanted to ask the ownership. This was an unlicensed complaint, and I wanted to know who were the owners and were they an LLC?
So the owners are just two people who own various plots of land. The complaint was brought against the company that they have, but they're not a registered LLC or a corporation or anything of that nature. They just operate under that particular name. And when I went on their website, I saw all of the property that they have on there and requested the purchase agreements for each of those properties. And it looks to me like they own all of those properties in their individual names as or I don't know if they're a husband and wife team or if they're just like a son and daughter or son and
Partners.
mother type thing. Partners, yes. So when I looked at the purchase and sale agreements, it had their names individually on each of the plots of land, and they just basically upload their pieces of land and sell them.
Okay, I move to accept council's recommendation to dismiss number 13.
Second, Bobby.
Second by Bobby. I'd like to find a way to streamline these votes. Could we just, once we get through this list, have one motion to accept council's recommendation or do something different on each one collectively, or do we need to do it individually?
I think we need to do it individually because we don't know what the outcome is going to be per case.
Okay, Caitlin, call the roll, please. If you're in favor, vote aye to dismiss. If you're opposed.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz.
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwen.
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy.
Aye.
Commissioner Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. 23.
John, get Bobby to read the ones I did not catch the ones that he was wanting to pull.
30, 32, 39.
Okay, we're next up to 23. And it appears to me that this is a complaint against a licensee because the square footage of the house was several hundred feet less than what was represented. And it seems to me that the licensee used as a defense that she measured the rooms on the plans. And you know, I'm a commercial broker, but one time I managed residential people, and it seems to me like a set of plans, you can measure the exterior dimensions a lot easier than you can the rooms. So I just wanted to put this out here to my residential cohorts to see what they think about this.
I don't think there's any way you can measure rooms and come up with more square footage than if you do the exterior. I got the impression that, and that was wrong. I got the impression that she was basically saying the plan said one thing, but maybe the house was built differently.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. I'll entertain a motion to dismiss.
I'll make the motion to dismiss.
Second. I motion by Bobby Wood, seconded by Steve Glenn, that this complaint be dismissed per council's recommendation. Caitlin, if you're in favor, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no.
Commissioner Joe Beckley.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz. Chair Marcia Furks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Glenn.
Aye.
Commissioner John Mock.
Aye.
Commissioner Torbett.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Aye. In favor of the motion to dismiss, please vote aye when Caitlin calls your name.
You just did.
Yeah.
Oh, motion passed. Sorry, I'm on to the next one. My fault.
John, if it matters,
Sorry. I was reading the next one is mine again.
The next one.
I was ahead of 31. No,
Well,
Bobby,
30.
30. My
Yeah.
fault.
Okay. And this is, and I've reread it 2 or 3 times and now I'm questioning myself, but I guess it's more for Anna. No, it's Kristen that has this. I'm sorry. But this was my question. It looks like there was an offer going back and forth, and according to the complainant, they accepted an offer or a counter offer from the seller, but when they reached back out to the listing agent said, "Too late, we've accepted another one." Is that also what the respondent says too?
So from how I understand it, there was some back and forth. Once there was a counter offer submitted, hold on, let me go back just real quick. Give me one second. So the counter offer had expired. And so the respondent reached out to the complainant's agent to follow up to see if the complainant still wanted to purchase the property. So they sent a new proposal on the property, which had not been expired or anything. But they received a new offer in that time period when the complainant submitted the proposal. But once they received their new offer, the seller wanted to go with that new offer, and so essentially the complainant was too late and is upset because they didn't know that there were multiple offers on the property.
And when I was reading it the first couple times, I had the impression that maybe the seller had sent a counter offer back, and in the meantime they got another offer they accepted, and they should have went back and withdrew the first offer. But I don't think that's what you're saying, is it?
No, so they sent a new proposal. The complainant sent a new proposal
Okay.
and did not accept the old offer from the respondent.
That's my fault then. I should have read it better. And then I'll make the motion to accept council's recommendation to dismiss.
Okay, the motion is properly on the floor, made by Bobby Wood, seconded by Marcia Franks, that council's recommendation be adopted. If you're in favor of that motion, please vote aye when Caitlin calls your name.
Okay, Commissioner Joe Begley.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz.
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn.
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Aye, that motion passes unanimously. Now 31. It's the shortest complaint on here. I want to talk about the attorney's recommendation.
Okay.
So, Kristen, you recommend that we dismiss the complaint against the respondent and open a complaint against the LLC for unlicensed activity. However, it looks like, it looks to me like they sell their properties through licensed agents. That's where I'm confused.
So I asked for the purchase and sale agreements after I read the respondent's response to verify whether they had licensed agents, because their website doesn't show any licensees that work for the LLC. So I wanted to do my due diligence and just see kind of if they had some connection with a different firm and the licensees or something of that nature. Well, when I got the purchase and sale agreement on one of the properties, it shows the seller as well, I can't remember if it was them selling. I think it was them selling, but it shows the seller as a LLC, and then as this some person involved with a title agency, but no one on that paper license, not the LLC's member, not the LLC. So because the complaint was opened against an actual individual and that individual's name doesn't appear on any of the purchase and sale documents, I thought it would be better to open the complaint against the LLC and dismiss it against that individual. Because I believe the LLC is possibly engaging in unlicensed activity. And as you all know, according to the AG's opinion, an LLC is a person, the meaning of the statute. So that was kind of my rationale behind that.
But the respondent, tell me if that's right, the respondent stated that they use real estate agents to buy and sell property, or to sell property, let's say. Is that correct?
That's how they responded. Yes, I reached out to this respondent who wasn't, this person was writing on behalf of the actual respondent, and I think they might be like a business manager or something like that. But I asked them, about the licensed agents in an effort to get more information because their response was so short and not very informative, and all they gave me was just reiterating the same response and providing me with the purchase agreements. I didn't see anybody licensed. They didn't provide me with any of the licensee's information. I just saw a person's name on there, which said, I forget how they named this person, but it was like a authorized agent or something like that. But that wasn't a licensee; it was a title company person.
So this person, the respondent, is an affiliate broker, or are they expired, or what? You have their name, right?
Yes, they're in expired status. They've their license has been expired since 2008. And really, when I looked at their status, I'm not sure if they ever fulfilled all of the requirements. Um, and I'm not sure if they intended to active and just kind of put it on the back burner, but they're not currently active.
In what way did the affiliate broker, this complainant says, they named this respondent. So what did this respondent do that caused this complainant to complain?
I'm not sure. I think it's just it's an anonymous. Well, you know what? Let me look. It's not any person that's been involved in a transaction or anything. So I'm not sure what sparked it, other than maybe there's some personal issues. Because this person's not even a state resident at all. They're out of state, and I really
But do
don't
you
even
have any
know if
evidence?
this is the person. Evidence of unlicensed activity?
No, evidence that this person did anything associated with a real estate license.
The only thing I can tell you is just based on the purchase and sale agreements. They do purchase and sell properties in the name of the LLC, which is not licensed, and the respondent who has the expired license is not licensed. So they do have a website that shows them like advertising properties and things, and offering to sell people's properties,
So
and so they can do rehab.
why would we dismiss the respondent then?
Because the respondent's name isn't on any of the purchase and sale agreements. It's all in the name of the LLC. So
They did something before it was written, I would imagine, didn't they?
They did. Say that again. I'm sorry.
So they named this respondent, this expired inactive affiliate broker, as the respondent in this complaint. So what I'm trying to get at is, what did that respondent do that made this complainant feel like they were doing unlicensed activity?
I guess
Did they
just
call them up? Did they meet with them? Take money? Negotiate? Any of those things?
The complaint literally just says, I wish to inform you that blank of blank, who has previously been disciplined for unlicensed activity as a real estate broker and contractor, is continuing these activities. And then they upload, give us his Facebook or their Facebook name.
And did you see any activity on that Facebook page?
So that's what I was saying. On the Facebook page, it only shows information about the LLC. It doesn't show that this individual who the complaint was filed against is doing anything wrong. It's just showing the LLC's name, which indicates that they have all these listings where they're selling properties and where they're offering to purchase people's homes and sell their properties for
So this
them.
person is advertising on Facebook then, is what you're saying?
The LLC is, which would constitute a person.
Was it a LLC Facebook page or a person's Facebook page?
It's an LLC Facebook page.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I know it's confusing, but I just want to make sure we file it against the correct person. And if I don't have anything to show that the respondent who the complaint was filed against is the actual individual that is doing this, then I can't necessarily take or recommend discipline against that individual.
Was that individual one of the on the limited liability paperwork? Are they one of the owners of the LLC?
They are the sole member of the LLC, which is another thing that I was kind of going back and forth about with them being the sole member. Could we go after them? But I ultimately came to the decision that we should, since all the paperwork is in the name of the LLC, we should go ahead and make the action against the LLC and not the person who's named in the complaint.
I make a motion to accept council's recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Joe, seconded by Steve, to accept council's recommendation. When your name is called, if you're in favor of that motion, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no. Caitlin?
Commissioner Joe Beckley.
Aye.
Commissioner Joe Diaz.
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Gwen. Commissioner Steve Gwen.
I'm sorry. Aye.
Commissioner John Moffett.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torben.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Number 32, Bobby.
I guess my question was, I guess it's kind of maybe a neighbor against the agent. The neighbors are saying the agent knew there was something wrong with the property, and the agent's saying no. But it's
Right.
like it's going to litigation. So why wouldn't we hold this until litigation monitoring, and hold it for litigation monitoring rather than making a decision?
So, my thoughts on it is that I want to, if we can make a decision about something in which an individual is breaking the rules or statutes, then we should go ahead and make a decision about that. It really doesn't make sense to me to hold it in litigation monitoring if we have all these affidavits that are saying that this individual knew about the adverse facts, which this person would be under an obligation to inform the buyers of. So just based on the evidence that I have and the lack of any competing evidence from the respondent, I don't see why we couldn't go ahead and issue discipline. But of course, it is within the commission's jurisdiction to decide otherwise. But just in my opinion, I think since we do know that there were some issues here, and that we do have evidence to support these allegations, then we should probably go ahead and make a decision about it.
But the evidence, you're saying that the clear evidence is just that the neighbors are saying that he knew?
So I'm not saying that it's necessarily clear evidence, but I am saying that the evidence was an affidavit or several affidavits that were notarized under oath. And because we have that and we don't have anything competing, then I don't see why we wouldn't go on and issue discipline. If the respondent has some information to suggest otherwise, which they didn't provide me from any other independent individual to negate the allegations, I would recommend we go ahead and issue a civil penalty. Now, it would be different if we had these affidavits from all these neighbors, and then we got affidavits from other people from the respondent saying, oh, no, this person didn't know. Then that would leave us kind of in a gray area, because we have two persons alleging, or several different persons alleging one thing against the other. So we wouldn't really have any way to come to a clear consensus on what happened. But since they didn't provide any competing evidence, then all we can go off of is what we have in our possession, and which side is more supported. And if they, disagree with this, they obviously have the right to a hearing, and we can go to hearing, or they can provide me with additional information that might suggest otherwise, and we can represent this. But as it stands now with what we have, I think discipline would be appropriate.
Well, I'm just looking at it. I mean, the respondent did say no, but he didn't have knowledge of it. And I'm just thinking that the judge is probably in a better position to make this determination than we are. And just being a practitioner, I know what an issue neighbors can be a lot of times, and so I would like to just make the motion that we hold this for litigation monitoring.
Thank you. Is there a second? Jeff, seconds.
Third.
Motion's on the floor to put this into litigation monitoring. If you're in favor of that, vote aye when Caitlin calls your name. If you're opposed, vote no. Caitlin?
Commissioner Joe Beck.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz.
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks. Marcia Franks.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn. Commissioner Steve Gwynn.
Yes.
Commissioner John Moffett.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chair Grease.
Aye. So that motion passes. Let's go on. Marcia is 33 years.
Yes, yes. And number 33, the respondent says he is a middleman, and they did a posting that said the house needs very little work. It's an up and coming neighborhood. This is cash only deal. If you have a question, call me or text me with his phone number in there. And then the investigator also found a sign in the yard of the property and with respondent's phone number listed on the yard sign. So we have proof that this person, the respondent, is unlicensed and that they are advertising this property. Now, what I don't understand is that recommendation is to close and flag. So I'm wondering why you want to close and flag instead of going ahead with charging them with unlicensed activity.
Okay, so this was a very complicated complaint. First, with this quote that they have on, I'm not even sure what kind of website it is, but it seems like a real estate investor type thing. But on the website, while they talk about this house, they don't have a picture of the house. They don't provide any other details. I mean, it's hard to, I don't even know what house they were advertising, number one. Number two, the yard sign had a number that was associated with the respondents, with the respondent. However, it didn't have the respondent's name on the yard sign or anything that would suggest, other than their phone number, that they were the person that was selling this property or anything that would that would give me sure confidence that they were actually engaging in unlicensed activity. This person didn't provide a response or anything. So it was just hard to corroborate all of the facts that were provided by the complainant. And there were a couple of variables that I believe were missing to support clear unlicensed activity, which is why I thought closure and flagging would be appropriate, because if we close it and flag it and this person's name comes up again, then we'll have notice of this prior complaint, which would help in a future complaint. And this person would have a hard time getting their license if they ever try to apply for it, and we would be alerted to them trying to apply for a license, which would kind of suggest that they possibly were engaging in unlicensed activity in the past. So I just didn't think that we had enough concrete evidence to support that this person was actually engaging in brokering as defined by statute. But I can certainly see how, just based on what I've provided, it would lean more towards licensed activity than not.
Well, first of all, the respondent provided a posting in which respondent advertised a property. Okay, and then the next thing is there was a sign on the property with their phone number on it. So that's two things right there that tell me this is unlicensed activity. And for that reason, I would like for us to change and find this person is doing unlicensed activity. Do we usually charge $1,000?
Yeah, I think it's $1,000 usually. Civil penalty.
Okay, and I'll have a civil penalty of $1,000 and a cease and desist order, please.
Second, this is Bobby.
Okay, the motion's on the floor to offer this respondent a $1,000 civil penalty, a cease and desist order, which typically accompanies that. If you're in favor of the motion, you'll vote aye when Caitlin calls your name. If you're opposed, you'll vote no. Caitlin?
Commissioner Joe Beckley.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz.
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn.
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Marcia, is that yours?
Yes, my question on this one was, so I agree that there should be a civil penalty, but I'm also, this person was a principal broker. So I would like to make a motion that we have this person do the $1,000 civil penalty and also attend the principal broker core class, and that education not count towards their CE if they are required any CE.
Is there a second?
Bobby seconds it.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to offer this licensee a $1,000 civil penalty and require that the licensee take the principal broker's core class within 6 months, and that education will not apply to other continuing education requirements. Discussion. If you're in favor of the motion, vote aye when Caitlin calls your name. If you're opposed, vote no. Caitlin?
Commissioner Joe Beckley. Commissioner Diaz.
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn.
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
John Grease.
Aye. So that motion passes unanimously. 35. Marcia?
I had 35. Okay, so this one is somebody's been doing advertising without putting their firm number on the advertising, and their name is larger than the firm name. And you've recommended, Kristen, a $500 civil penalty. And I'm wondering why we can't charge for the name being larger, and the second thing is no firm number. So there's two things that should have a penalty for it. And the main concern is this is a billboard that doesn't have the firm number on it. And having owned some billboards in the past, I know they're thousands of dollars to change them. So the likelihood of that getting changed is not very good. So I would like to give $500
Vice
civil.
Chairman Franks, before you go on, I did want to tell you that at the time this complaint was filed, their billboard contract was up in like 2 weeks, so it hasn't been up since this complaint has been filed. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, Marcia,
You have evidence they took it down?
Yes, it's down. Their contract expired.
I'm not talking about their contracts. Did an investigator see that it was down? Because
I
they
didn't
will leave it
send
up
it
until
down.
somebody else buys the billboard.
Oh, okay. I didn't send it out for investigation. Just based on the respondent's response, they made it seem as if it was no longer up, but I just interpreted that based on them saying the contract expired. So it could be up, but I didn't send out an investigator. But the way that they responded, it didn't seem like they still had it up.
Marcia, would you go on with your
Okay.
motion?
So I'd like to make a motion that there be a $500 civil penalty because their name was larger than the firm's name, and a $500 civil penalty because there was no firm number on the billboard.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
That motion is
second it.
properly on the floor. I've got Joe Bagley as the second on this one. Discussion. Hearing none. If you're in favor of the motion, vote aye. When your name is called, if you're opposed, vote no. Caitlin?
Commissioner Joe Begley,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tricia Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn,
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffett,
Aye.
Commissioner Casey Torbett,
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood,
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Aye. That motion passes unanimously. 36. Marcia?
I have, now that I've reread this, I would like to, I would like to go with council's recommendation for a $500 civil penalty for failure to supervise.
This is Jeff. I
Is there
second.
a second? Thank you, Jeff. The motion on the floor, properly made and seconded, is to accept council's recommendation. If you're in favor of that motion, please vote aye when Caitlin calls your name. Caitlin?
Commissioner Joe Begley,
Aye.
Commissioner Diaz,
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Frank,
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn,
Aye.
Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett,
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood,
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Aye. That motion passed unanimously. 37. Both Marcia and I put this on the list. To me, this is particularly outrageous. I could be wrong on this, but it looks like a licensee is going through medicine cabinets, at the very least looking for Excedrin. However, that licensee may have also been accused of taking some narcotics. Marcia, is that how you see it?
That's exactly how I thought. I thought that the civil penalty of $500 per occurrence was not enough and that it should be $1,000 per occurrence since they were caught on camera. And that they said they were only looking for Excedrin.
Just the thought of them going through a medicine cabinet. I mean, I don't care if they're looking for Easter eggs. You don't go through people's medicine
don't do it.
cabinets. You know what I thought about was some sort of suspension. That's just what I thought about. I don't know.
I'd be okay with that.
Looking forward to hearing.
And do we have the right to say the police need to be notified too? I mean, I don't know why the police weren't notified.
I'm not sure if they actually notified the police. They didn't provide me with anything that suggested that they did, but I think the reason that they did not is because they couldn't show that the person was like stealing the narcotics. They were only caught on camera during one occurrence, and that occurrence was when the narcotics went missing. I'm sorry, that wasn't when the narcotics went missing. So they didn't really have any to prove that the person stole the narcotics. So I don't think that, they believe that they have enough to take to the district
But
attorney. And
but your verbiage says that respondent was called on 2 separate occasions at 2 different properties, rummaging through property owners' items in their bathroom. On the first occasion, the respondent alleges that they were looking for Excedrin. That's the same as saying I did it. So the biggest
I'm not
predictor of the future is
disagreeing.
what they've done in the past.
No, I'm not disagreeing
So
that they didn't look for something. I'm just saying the reason I think they didn't press charges is because they didn't they couldn't corroborate that the person stole the narcotics, or that anything they couldn't corroborate that anything that was missing was a result of the respondent. They do admit to taking the Excedrin or trying to find the Excedrin. I don't even know if they ever found it or took it, but taking Excedrin, I don't think would. Well, I don't think that they felt they could prove that anything was stolen by this person,
To
just
me,
that they
this
were
is
rummaging through.
to me, this is a licensee who has a drug problem because they're going through people's drawers and medicine cabinets. That's number one. And because of that, and they've been caught doing it. So who knows how many other places they've been and they didn't get caught. So I agree with Chairman Grease that there should be some sort of suspension, and to at least give this person time to get off their drugs and straighten their life up. And keep them out of the public. We've just got to protect the public. Keep them out of public homes.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jeff. I'd like to make a motion that we suspend this licensee's license for 6 months.
Is there a second?
A second, Joe Begley.
But is there a civil penalty?
Well, let me state the motion. The motion is to offer this licensee a suspension of his or her license for a period of 6 months. That's what's on the floor, made by Jeff Diaz, seconded by Joe Begley. Discussion.
I'm just wondering if there should be a civil penalty included with it also. But then I'm also thinking maybe they need that money to go to drug rehab too. So maybe the suspension would be enough. What do y'all think?
Well, unless there's an amendment, we're going to vote on the motion. But if you want to amend it and try, Marcia, let's feel free. You okay?
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Other discussion. All right. Motion on the floor is to offer this licensee a 6 month suspension of his license or her license. If you're in agreement with that, you'll vote yes when Caitlin calls your name. If you're opposed, vote no. Caitlin.
Joe Begley.
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz. Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn. Commissioner Steve Gwynn. Come back. Commissioner John Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torpet.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John Reese. Commissioner Gwynn.
Let's close the vote at 7 ayes, no nays, with Steve Gwynn absent. Okay, number 39.
I think that was me, Bobby.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, it was the agent had went and opened up the lockbox for the home inspector to get in, and then the home inspector had mistakenly taken the key with him and did put it back in the box. But the recommendation was to give the warning letter to the agent. I mean, I don't. I mean, what are you warning the agent about? I mean, that the inspector is the one that did it. I mean, I would just be in favor of dismissing it.
I second that.
Okay, and that's our motion. Let's go with it.
Okay, the motion is to number 39.
Joe.
Okay, Joe, thank you. Okay, discussion on the motion. All right, since you're ready to vote, if you're in favor of dismissing number 39, you vote yes or aye when Caitlin calls your name. Caitlin?
Commissioner Joe Begley.
Aye.
Commissioner Jesse.
Aye.
Vice Chair Franks. Marcia Franks.
I did it again. Aye, sorry.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn. Commissioner John Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Casey Torbett.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chairman Ron Grease.
Yes, that motion passes on a 7-0 vote. Steve Gwynn did not vote. All right, thank you, Kristen.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, I'm wondering, since it's been 3 hours, could we take a quick break?
Yeah, it's fine with me. I just don't know if I want to get away from this computer because it's so screwed up that I might not ever get back on, but I'll stay put. Let's take 5 minutes.
Okay.
We can keep the computers on and come back. Yeah. Yes. Can you hear me?
I did.
Yes, I'm here.
You want to pull out this section?
Yes. I had 43, 66, 67, 68.
That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, this is Mark Green.
Mark Green. Dang, I'm good. Let me see how your facial hair is doing.
Oh, it's full. It's definitely. It's Amy.
No.
Oh, the beard is coming in.
Now I can. Now I can. You didn't sound long. I see.
How have you been, sir?
I've been good. Yourself?
Well, busy. I decided to join today.
You get to wear a cap when you're at home?
I have a trying to wear a different cap every day.
Attaboy. I like it. Are you going to give us legal advice, or are you just watching? Perfect. We're pretty good. We're pretty good at our own interpretation of the law when we need to be.
You an experienced bunch, that's for sure.
You didn't say whether that was good experience or bad experience.
That's, experience is good experience.
Well, I think so. When do you get to go back to the building?
It looks May. At least we will somewhat in some fashion. That may not be everybody, but surprisingly, we have managed in the legal division fairly, in my opinion, fairly well working remotely. We're in some areas it kind of improved our communication because it forced us to have to, talk more frequently, find out what was going on, and so it got some of us older people that video conference doing video conferences, so it had some benefit to
it. Do you think it cut down on the overhead charge the real estate commission? That's not good. Hey, Marcia.
I'm back.
All right, Anna, are you present?
Here.
Okay, you want to just quickly check and see who we got?
Sure.
I have to step away for a minute.
Okay. Yeah, we're just doing a quick check-in, make sure.
You're back.
Okay, is Jeff back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Marcia?
Yes.
I see Steve. John Moffett.
Yes.
Looks like you might have gone outside. Stacy Schwarman. Stacy. Okay, Bobby.
I'm here.
Okay. We've got Anna. Looks like I'd just be waiting on. Oh, Stacy's here. Okay, everyone's here.
Okay, it's good. Anna, if you'll read your cases in, please.
Okay. 42 2020 01 0411, 43 2020 01 2391, 44 2020 01 3141, 45 2020 01 4311, 46 2020 7381, 47 2020 01 2301, 48 014621, 49 2020 014791, 50 2020 016 51 2020 018811, 52 2020 02 0221, 53 2020 021421, 54 2020 017431, 55 2020 014441, 56 2020 013881, 57 2020 016821, 58 2020 012541, 59 2020 0110, 71 60 2020 004681, 61, 2020 0029991, 62, 2020 0111301, 63, 2021 2001, 64, 2020 0133711, 65, 2020 0133981, 66, 2020 010081, 67, 2020 010691, 68, 2020 011141, 69, 2020 008361, and 70 is 2020 001391. For those, I recommend dismissal or discipline.
Okay, thank you. So I have in my notes that cases, if commissioners want to pull out cases 43, 66, 67, 68, and 70. Are there any other cases that a commissioner would like pulled out? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the council's recommendation on the cases that Anna just read in, with the exception of 43, 66, 67, 68, and 70?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Bobby, was that your second?
That was me. I was one of them.
Okay. So we have a motion to accept council's recommendation on all cases with the exception of the ones I just read into the record. If you're in favor of that motion, when your name is called, please vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no. Caitlin?
Commissioner Begley? Begley? Commissioner Jeff Diaz? Vice Chair Marcia Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Gwynn?
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett?
Aye.
Commissioner B. Wood?
Aye.
Chairman John Grease?
Yes. Joe, you want to check?
Commissioner Jeff Diaz?
Okay, the chair is going to rule the motion passed on a 5 aye, no votes, and 2 absent. Wait a minute, was that Joe just in or Jeff? Jeff? Joe? All right, the motion passed 5-0. Let's go to number 43. It's Bobby. Jeff's in.
43. This is the one where the people were complaining because they said that maybe the prospective buyers left they could tell they used their restroom and left it in disarray. And I guess my question is, did they have a camera in the restroom, or how do they know all this stuff?
They submitted pictures of what it looked like afterwards, and they stated that there is a video surveillance where they can see someone go into the restroom and then leave. But
Okay.
it was I looked at the pictures, and I think that what the complainant stated was very much overstated of what happened in the bathroom.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I think we're seeing this more and more where people have cameras in their house now. So, okay, I want to make the motion to accept council's recommendation to dismiss.
John, second.
John Grease, your mic's off.
Crap. Jeff, did you second that?
John Moffitt.
Okay, as long as we got a recorded second, I'm good. The motion is to accept council's recommendation and dismiss. If you're in favor of that motion, please vote aye when Caitlin calls your name. Caitlin.
Commissioner Joe Beckley. Commissioner Jeff Diaz.
Aye.
Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Wynn.
Aye.
Commissioner Ron Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby.
Aye.
Chairman John.
Yes, the motion passes on a 7. No notes. Joe Bagley did not vote. Number 66.
66, that was mine again.
It's yours and Marcia's.
Mine too.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I got, and then Marcia, you fix it. At first, I didn't really understand it, but as the way I kind of look at it, is it that the principal broker allowed his assistant to fill out forms for people, and so he's saying he's not guilty because he didn't do it; his assistant did it. Is that? Am I right or am I wrong here?
So the principal broker, the assistant filled out the form on behalf of who they work for, which is the principal broker's client. But they are also an assistant of the principal broker. So the issue, as stated before, is we sent a consent order for unlicensed activity to the assistant because we didn't have any writing stating that she could act on behalf of her client. And in this response, the actual client sent in a letter saying that this person's been employed for them for 15 years and is allowed to complete forms on their behalf.
But can we, as principal brokers, hire an assistant and give them the responsibility to take care of our real estate company? It says to handle, including this transaction. So
the assistant is working for the client. So it just so happens that she also works for the principal broker as well. But in this particular transaction, they were working on behalf of the person they're the personal assistant for. So they're the assistant for the principal broker and the assistant also for the client. I don't have any evidence that the individual has been acting on behalf of the principal broker in any other transaction.
Well, no, we're just talking about this transaction in particular. And it says the respondent submitted a letter from the seller stating this individual has been their assistant for 16 years and is authorized. That's the seller is authorizing that they can sign for the seller. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And so you're saying this person is not acting on behalf of the principal broker then?
Correct. They're acting on behalf of the seller.
So like what did this person sign? What kind of she never put the firm name or signed it down at the bottom. Did they use a TR contract?
So the particular document that is in question here is a property disclosure form. And so she completed the assistant completed the property disclosure form as if they were the owner and signed on behalf of the owner. So they were signing for the client and they completed the document for the client.
And the principal broker was okay with that?
Yes, because the client had authorized her to authorize the assistant to complete documents on their behalf.
I just can't imagine any principal broker allowing that. I mean, it gives them responsibility. It gives their assistant responsibility. I mean, I train my agents, don't touch the disclosure, don't check anything. They have to do it themselves and then sit there and watch them do it in case they have questions. So I just don't think this was good procedure of this principal broker to allow that in the first place. And I know they're saying the problem is that it's a virtual company, right? So that they can't be there. It's all done virtually.
I know the forms to sign up to work with the company is online, and that's what the principal broker was operating on. I don't have any evidence to say that they're a completely online company. There are wet signatures on the purchase and sale documents.
Okay.
So is this new information that you have? Because when you presented it or whoever presented it to us the first time, we had a consent order of $1,000 civil penalty and 4 hours for a cash. No, that was another one. That's another thing the principal broker did. So we opened the administrative complaint. Did we open it, the commission, or was it open administratively from staff?
For the commission, we presented the complaint, and at the time, we didn't have information stating that this person was authorized to sign the document. So that is why we issued a consent order, because it appeared that it was unlicensed activity. But and I haven't received an update from that person, so I'll need to follow up, and that might be a matter to represent. But when the principal broker, we opened a complaint against them because commission requested. They provided the information stating that this person works an assistant for the client. So ultimately, I think that previous complaint may need to be represented for dismissal, if that makes sense.
So did the personal assistant not work for the principal broker then, just the client?
Yes.
So this assistant was not in the principal broker's office or purview or under their supervision?
No, not that I can tell.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
But I'll make the motion to accept council's recommendation to dismiss.
And I'll second it.
John, you're on mute.
John, unmute.
I want to say something else here pretty soon. That only I heard. The motion offered by Commissioner Wood and seconded by Ms. Franks is to accept council's recommendation and dismiss. If you're in favor of that motion, you'll vote yes or aye when Caitlin calls your name. Caitlin?
Commissioner Joe Begley. Commissioner Jeff.
Aye.
Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn.
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Torbett.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John Greaves.
Yes. So that motion passes unanimously. 67 is also one both Marcia and Bobby wanted to discuss. Marcia, you want to go first this time?
Okay, so this is where the person made the mistake of putting down 2.5% commission, but they meant 3%. And honestly, I'm trying to look back here real quick. Bobby, help me. What was?
Yeah, that was the thing. It looks like in the commission that they were offering to a cooperating agent that in the listing it said 3, but the listing agent put it in the MLS or whatever as 2.5.
Right.
Then and then the complaint was maybe that hurt their ability to get a buyer for the property at the price that the seller would want. And then the attorney, it looked like from the listing agent wanted to say, I think it says, there's not any competent evidence for this commission to consider that can support the notion that 2.5% sharing commission versus 3 sharing commission has any effect on the marketability of the property. And to me, that was nutty.
That is a false statement, and they didn't. Obviously that attorney was not an expert, or they would have known. Many realtors will not show a listing if it's not 3% or more. If you can show a 3% listing or a 2.5% listing, you're going to show the 3% most likely. So I say that it was to the detriment of the this listing.
So what do you want?
Yeah, I would do. You want me to do it, Marshall? Well, you got it.
Go ahead.
I was going to say $1,000 civil penalty for not exercising reasonable skill and care and the performing of their duties.
Can we give them a class 2, Bobby?
I think a contracts class, a 4-hour contracts class, it's got to be done within 6 months, but they don't get CE credit for it.
Second that.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to offer this licensee a $1,000 civil penalty for failing to exercise reasonable skill and care, and include in that consent agreement the requirement to take a 4-hour course in contracts to be completed within 6 months and not to accrue toward any educational requirements. That's the motion. Discussion. Okay, if you favor that motion, you vote yes or aye when Caitlin calls your name. If you're opposed, vote no.
Commissioner Joe Begley.
No.
Commissioner Jeff Diaz.
Aye.
Commissioner or Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn.
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Trippett. Aye. Commissioner Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John Grease.
Yes. The motion passes. Was it 7-1, Caitlin?
Yes.
7 aye, 1 no vote. All right, number 68. Again, Marcia and Bobby both pulled this one. Bobby, you go first this time.
Okay. If I'm remembering, it's a property management issue, and the seller, or I guess the owner of the property, is saying that they thought that the property manager was supposed to go out and look at the property on a regular basis and do a lot of things, and then and then it comes down to it. The argument really has to do over a $500 amount of money that I think property managers call the bank, that they hold for sellers to pay any bills or anything that might come in, and then I think we're asking for, the suggestion was maybe a $500 civil penalty. But how long had it been? I mean, how long has this property manager been holding this bank after the relationship has ended? I mean, have they been hanging on to it 6 months or a year or something, or?
So the person made a request for the money in January 29th of 2020, and it looks like after I submitted this last week, we got an update that said that they've been dispersed the funds, but the funds were only dispersed in April, so it was still a 3-month delay. So I thought that was, and they stated that they were holding the money until the issue was resolved, and it didn't say who was resolving the issue. So it seemed like they were waiting for an outcome from the commission.
Oh, okay. See, I could see that a property manager would hold it for a couple months just to get all the bills in before you go dispersing the money out. Because once you disperse it, you're not going to recollect on that.
I just thought that since the property management company admitted that the person was due the money, then that was evidence that they did not timely disperse it.
Yeah. I'm just not convinced.
3 months is not timely.
Well, but did the relationship end at the end of January, right? So we're talking about February, March, and then whenever they got it in April. So we're talking 2.5 months or something. Not really 3. Because if they got
You get the month in with the bills within a month, though.
well, you hope. I mean, there's some.
You would call it.
Yeah, there's some vendors that give you the bill the day of the work, and there's some you have to keep reminding them. I didn't have a problem with this.
People love giving me their bills.
I understand that. I understand that. I would. Well, my motion would be to dismiss. That's what I would say. I just didn't think this was a holding an excessive long time period.
Is there a second? Last call. Bobby Wood made a motion to dismiss. There's a second by, who was that? Was that Steve?
Yes.
Steve, thank you. So
yes,
a motion is properly on the floor to dismiss case number 68. Is there discussion? All right.
Well,
if you're in favor of the motion.
I think it was too long. I think 3 months is too long. And one month, I can see giving them some leeway for a month. If I didn't have the bill within a month, I'd be calling and getting the bill. They can text it to me. They can email it to me. It shouldn't take 3 months to get all the bills back in. So I would respectfully go the other direction.
Yeah, I just didn't count that as 3 months.
Yeah. So, Marcia, you've got two choices: vote no on the motion or to offer a substitute motion. Which do you prefer?
Let's just vote. Let's just vote. I may be the only one.
Okay. If you're in favor of the motion, which is to dismiss this complaint, vote aye when your name is called. If you're opposed, vote no. Caitlin?
Sorry. Commissioner Joe Bexley. Jeff Diaz. Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
No.
Gwen.
Aye.
Commissioner John.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy.
Aye.
Commissioner Bobby Wood.
Aye.
Chairman John.
Yes. The motion passes 7-1. We've got one left to go. Number 70, Marcia.
Okay, this is the one where this person was using, I think there were 3 designations that they've not earned in their advertising. And I just wanted to discuss if everybody thought $500 per occurrence was enough per occurrence. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
This is Bobby. I was okay with that. I mean, I looked at it as it's a total of $1,500. That was a lot.
That's quite a bit. And I would be okay with more.
I could be persuaded either which way.
I said I could go up.
I'm not hearing Joe well. Is that Joe?
Yes, I said I could be persuaded to go up with that amount.
Okay. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I think that, they figured nobody was going to check it out, and go around. You don't go around fleecing everybody that puts a designation on their name, and it's just. I mean, it's a pretty blatant violation just to say that you're have a designation and other people work for it. So, I mean, I don't care if we go to 3,000 to an occurrence.
You want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to raise the fine to $1,000 per violation, total of $3,000.
Second.
Is there a second to that motion? Okay, that motion is properly on the floor. Is there discussion? If you're in favor of offering this licensee a $3,000 civil penalty, you'll vote yes. If you're opposed, you vote no when your name is called. Caitlin.
Commissioner Joe Begley. Commissioner Jeff Diaz. Vice Chair Marcia Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Steve Gwynn.
Aye.
Commissioner John Moffett.
Aye.
Commissioner Stacy Twinnett.
Aye.
Commissioner Chairman John.
Yes. So that motion passes unanimously. Okay. Unless I'm mistaken, that ends the consent agenda and legal report. Anna, do you have any legal updates for us?
No, I don't have anything additional other than what's been mentioned today.
Okay. We're now down to commission discussion. The only item I have on there is Arello. Marcia, I know you've mentioned some about Arello today. Do you have more to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to just update everybody. As chairman-elect, I'm on the executive committee, and we're meeting quite often. We've had to do our mid-year meeting by Zoom, and we had to cancel, or I shouldn't say cancel, but delay the District 2 and 3 meeting until next year. And so we do know that the meeting in Montreal is probably not going to happen because the border is closed both ways going to Canada. And as my Canadian mentor and friend on the executive committee told us, Montreal is like our New York. So it's a real hotbed. So we're not sure. We're leaving it open. There's been suggestions that we go to Savannah, Georgia, since we had to cancel that for the mid-year. So we're just not sure. There is a chance that we would have to do it virtually again. So just wanted to let you know that. But let's see here. I wanted to let you know, too, that under our law and regulation committee, they're trying to come up with some solutions to how to respond to the pandemic. And most of it goes under the education and exams and testings, and those are renewals. And we're trying to be proactive and not reactive to it. The fair housing, I want to let you know this. The HUD has responded with guidance on the assistance animals. It seems that their number one complaint is denying housing for assistance animals. And so they are saying that service animals and security or support animals are different than a service animal, and that they are saying only dogs will go under the HUD ruling on that. So that was kind of a big deal, I thought. I want to let you know, too, they're coming up with an investigator manual that we'll be able to have that manual to help our attorneys or our investigators. The other thing in fair housing is there's now, they're pitching around wording on is COVID a protected class, or even further, sickness a protected class. I don't know how far that'll get. We talked about a lot of inclusion collaboration, and it seems that there's we're having lots of people from other countries that are coming here during the pandemic purchasing, and especially China and Singapore. They are the two leaders in real estate investment right now. Wanted to let everybody know that as a part of Arello, that there's several things. I hope everybody is getting. They should be getting a monthly. It's called Borders, and it's like a newsletter. And if you'll look at that, it shows what's upcoming and what's happening in other states. But we also have lots of training videos on Arello's site, and it's arello.org. And you're all members, so you can go in there and into that member area. We have real estate license verification. So if you're wondering, as you're doing your legal work, your documents as you're reading them, you can go to Arello and verify if the person's been suspended or revoked in another state. And again, we talked about the distance education certification and how backed up that is right now. Let's see. I think that is just about. There's a task force. It's called Promoting Judicious Real Estate Licensing Practices. And it's to address the attack on licensing regulators. There's a lot of states, there's a strong desire by some of the legislators to deregulate licensing. That has popped its head up in Tennessee, but didn't go forward. But something that we're trying at Arello to keep up with. And we actually hired a Professor Kennedy out of Indiana University to write a white paper about this. And so we have a paper, it's almost finished. It'll be coming out in the next probably 2 weeks. And it has all the reasons why we need to have regulation and why it is different than a lot of other kinds of regulation too. We also have a new strategic plan for the next 2 years that we'll all be working on for that. And I did want to thank, I know Caitlin and Anna were in several times on the Zooms, and Ross was. I'm not sure if anybody else was, but they attended several of the meetings, and I wanted to thank them for that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Marcia, and thanks for representing the state.
Thank you.
Anna, are you still on?
Yes, I'm still here.
So it's my belief that we've got a formal hearing next month. Is that still scheduled?
It is currently scheduled, but I'm not sure the status of whether we'll be meeting in person or not. So you will be updated about that in a rulemaking hearing soon.
Okay, I expect we're going to meet in person. Then, Caitlin, do you have anything else for us?
I do not.
Well, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And I appreciate you trying to help me out, but so I got this notice about a core cybersecurity course.
Yeah.
Did everybody else get that as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Has anybody taken the course?
In the course, but I have reached out. I reached out a couple times, and I've asked for your names to be taken off the list since you are not on the state network. You don't have a state account. So I reached out again recently this week. So.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for doing that. I hope you're successful.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I wanted to ask a question too for Caitlin, and I guess our attorneys too. In the past, we used to get a broker form that all the brokers filled out about how do you know this person. It had a lot of pertinent information on it, and we haven't been receiving that for the last several months. And I'm just wondering if we can get that instead of them just coming up with their own verbiage about what they want to tell us. Is there any reason?
Are you talking Informal appearances?
Right. Informal appearances only.
Are you talking about what you get in advance of the meeting?
Right. There used to be a form for the person applying and a form for the principal broker. And now we don't get them. And a lot of times it just says, see, you know, what they've typed out. And it doesn't always address what those questions were.
So the form I'm aware of is there is a prior criminal conviction form.
Now, this was a form that the principal broker filled out about how they knew the person, how they were going to train them, questions for the principal broker.
Okay. Well, into that, added the letter of recommendation, but I'll look into that form and see if I can find.
Yeah, we used to get a letter of recommendation along with it, and used to people would have 4 or 5 letters of recommendations with them. I'm not asking for that. I just want to be sure about the principal broker that they're understanding, you know, what they're getting into, and I'd like to kind of be able to read them that way by what they fill out.
So are you looking for both a form for the applicant and the principal broker, or just the principal broker?
Both. We've been getting the one for the applicant, but we've not been getting it for the principal broker for a good while.
Okay.
Okay, Marcia, anything else?
No, I just want everybody to stay safe and you know, I'm so surprised at how many people think this is not real. And I've known several friends who have lost family members from this. So everybody just be careful. I worry about all of you when we're not together but once a month.
Thank you, Marcia. Other commissioners, any statements on the way out the door?
John, this is Steve Gwynn.
Yes, Steve.
This is maybe a plug, but I decided yesterday to take a COVID-19 test for a couple of reasons. One, there seems to me a lot of information, and I was frustrated reading about it, what was going on. So, you know, I'm just going to do it myself. And so I signed up, and I have no symptoms. Okay, so I go on the Walgreens website, I sign up, and the whole deal took about an hour and a half. It was not a big deal. I got my results back. I did it yesterday at 1:15. I got my results back last night while I was watching TV. I'm negative, but the point is, I think the more people that are tested, the better information our leaders have to make decisions. We got to get our economy going again, and one of the ways to help do that is to have more people get tested. So if anybody on the line is of a mind to get tested, I'd say do it. The problem is probably the only question that I was able to answer in the affirmative that allowed me to get the test was my age. So I think possibly if you're asymptomatic and you're under age 65, then you're going to get thrown out and not be able to do it. But that's just plug to kind of looking at it, you know, being a good citizen. I wanted to like go get a test and see what it's all about. So it was not a big deal. And anyway, that's parting comment.
Thanks, Steve. That's good information. Other commissioner?
Well, I have a question for Steve.
Yes.
Go, Joe.
Can you tell me a little more about the test? Did you nasal swab or?
Yeah, I tell you what it was. Okay, so basically, I had a 1:15 appointment. I was out of there. I drive up to the Walgreens. It's actually a closed Walgreens, and there was probably, I would say, 6 or 7 people working. And you have an appointment, kind of a code that was on my phone that I showed through the window. So you stay in your car. The window is, you are identified. They have a little nasal swab. They give it to you when your window is up, and then you reach into this little bin, pick it out, don't touch anything. And then you take the swab. It takes 15 seconds to do it. You put it back in the bin, and they come pick it up, and you drive off. But it's very, I mean, the people that are giving it are 6 feet away at all times. You know, it was. I thought it was a well-run operation. That's the other thing I wanted to see is, like, you know, how screwed up is this thing? It wasn't at all.
So did you swab yourself?
Yes.
And did
They don't do that in Williamson County. In Williamson County, they'll swab anybody, but they do it themselves.
And Steve, have you seen them swab like where it goes probably 5 or 6 inches up into the nose?
No, this was about. She showed me how to do it. This was about, I would say, 2 inches or maybe 2 or 3 inches. It wasn't all the way. It wasn't a 6-inch deal all the way up in your sinus.
Okay.
So it was. It's the. I don't think that Walgreens has only one site. There's several other options you can do in Shelby County, and I'm not familiar with the other ones. My guess would be they're not as good, as well run, but you know, the police were up there. There was actually 2 policemen watching the whole thing. They were in their cars. I was kind of impressed. It was very well done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other comments?
Hey, John, this is Bob. Last night I went to eat at one of our local restaurants, or I went to pick up food to take home, and I came in the door and they had a 5-question questionnaire for me asking if I've had a temperature or anything like that. So I thought that was kind of unusual. I've never had to ask a questionnaire to actually eat at a place, but so you know, a lot of people taking precautions. But my wife's an RN, and she's an infection prevention nurse at her hospital. So that makes for some great conversation. But she's had this sign at her desk for several years now because she's an infection control person, and it says, and it's appropriate then, it's even more appropriate now, but it says, wash your hands and say your prayers because Jesus and germs are everywhere. So
Like that.
She's the person that we'll be at church, and you know, and us Baptists, we're big about having a handshaking time and welcome everybody.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll do that. And the next thing you do, you smell her Germ-X. She's got it out and she's poking everybody, going, here. She's squirting it in everybody's hands like she loves you. She's not taking any chances. So
yeah,
but,
that's good.
We've been around germs for years and years. We're just a lot more aware of it now than we were, say, 3 or 4 months ago. So,
yeah.
All right. Who else? Well, let me just say my final remarks. Marcia, I hate WebEx. Okay.
Yeah, I do too.
And I love Zoom.
yes.
I do too.
And I hope the state comes around to that. More importantly, I hate talking to you guys over a computer. I'd much rather sit and have a meal with you or drink with you or talk to you face to face. And I hope we get to do that next month. In the meantime, I hope you all stay safe, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Without objection, we're adjourned. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, John.
Weekend.
Thank you. Everybody.
See ya.